Have you ever just stared at a massive Excel spreadsheet, like full of formatting errors on a random Tuesday morning?
Oh, I mean, who hasn't been there, right?
Right. And you've got a client demanding a total overhaul by 5 p.m., and you just sit back and think, is this really what I was put on earth to do?
It is such a heavy question, and honestly, it's one we are diving into headfirst today.
Exactly. So welcome to the Daily with God podcast. Daily with God, get connected?
Yes, get connected. Go ahead and settle in, you guys, because we are navigating some really paradigm-shifting territory today.
We really are. Today is actually a huge milestone for us. It is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026, and we are stepping into our mid-series master recap.
Which is so exciting.
It is. For the past few weeks, our entire focus has been this movement we are calling excellence as worship. And, if you were just joining us today, you are honestly arriving at the perfect moment to catch the vision.
Absolutely, because the core problem we are tackling in this deep dive is how modern society has systematically reduced human work down to just transactional survival.
Yeah, it's just a transaction now.
Right. We evaluate human effort almost entirely through the lens of monetary output or, administrative compliance or just chasing public approval.
Like getting likes or getting a bonus.
Exactly.
Right.
And we have built this tragic artificial boundary that completely separates our daily labor from our spiritual purpose. Like, you have your Sunday self, right?
Oh, totally. The Sunday self who is super spiritual.
And then you have your Monday to Friday self, and they just operate in entirely different universes.
And the result of that divide, it is catastrophic for the modern worker.
Yeah.
It drives us straight into chronic burnout.
100%.
It turns the whole 9 to 5 into this anxious performance treadmill, where you are only as valuable as your last deliverable.
Which is an exhausting way to live.
It really is. So the goal of this movement, and really this whole conversation today, is to take a sledgehammer to that dividing wall.
I love that image.
We want to completely dismantle the sacred-secular divide and re-anchor your daily work in a divine narrative.
Yes. Because to survive the sheer chaos of a modern workplace, we have to look at the foundational blueprints of what we call the sacred craft.
The sacred craft.
Right, because you simply cannot withstand the pressure of corporate demands if your internal theology of work is just crumbling or, non-existent. You have to understand exactly what it is you are building when you sit down at your desk.
Okay, let's unpack this right out of the gate. Because I know what you might be thinking listening to this on your commute right now.
Right, they're thinking, this sounds beautiful in theory, but...
Exactly. But let's look at the archetype of the carpenter, which we explored early in this series. We tend to view work as this post-fall curse. Right?
Yeah, like a punishment we just have to endure until the weekend.
Yes. But Dorothy L. Sayers, in her landmark essay, Why Work?, she points out something that completely shatters that assumption. Jesus spent the vast majority of his earthly life not in public pulpit ministry, but at a workbench.
30 years. He spent 3 decades cutting timber, measuring joints, and smoothing wood.
3 decades.
And what Sayers so brilliantly observes is that no crooked table legs or ill-fitting drawers ever emerged from the carpenter shop in Nazareth.
Wow.
His physical labor, the meticulous craftsmanship of a wooden chair, it wasn't a distraction from his divine mission. It was the initial expression of it.
That completely upends the medieval hierarchy of labor we all kind of buy into.
Yeah.
We have this pervasive assumption that writing a sermon or leading a worship service is inherently holier than, balancing a budget or writing a clean line of code.
Right, we rank them.
We do.
Yeah.
But if God incarnate spent his time manipulating physical matter, like ensuring a table is level and structurally sound, then the act of bringing order to physical reality is an essentially holy act.
It is the ultimate reflection of the divine identity. In Genesis, God is revealed as a master craftsman, planting, organizing, speaking order into chaos.
Yeah.
Therefore, your capacity to organize logistics, analyze data, or design a building is a direct reflection of that image. Martin Luther actually took this a step further during the Protestant Reformation.
Oh, I love this part.
He challenged the entire cultural framework of his day with what we call the cobbler's stitch.
Yes. This is where it gets incredibly practical for you listening. Luther argued that a Christian shoemaker loves their neighbor not by stamping tiny crosses onto the leather, or like preaching to the customer while measuring their foot.
Which is what we usually think we're supposed to do.
Right. But Luther says no, you love them simply by making good shoes.
Because the intrinsic quality of the output is the primary witness. Think about the physical reality of a shoe.
Okay.
If a cobbler makes a shoe with sloppy stitching and cheap, untreated leather, and it tears apart after 3 days of a customer walking on hard pavement,
Then they're walking barefoot.
exactly. That cobbler has fundamentally failed to love the neighbor who bought it. The structural integrity matters.
The craftsmanship is the vehicle for neighbor love. That is so good. And we see the biblical precedent for this with Bezalel in Exodus.
Oh, Bezel is such a great example.
Right. When you look for the first person in Scripture explicitly described as being filled with the Holy Spirit, it wasn't a king. Nope. And it wasn't a prophet. He was an artisan. God filled Bezalel with the Spirit, specifically to grant him technical mastery in metalwork, stone cutting, and wood carving.
The mechanism there is just fascinating. God is endowing a human being with the intellectual and physical acuity to manipulate earthly materials with excellence.
Yes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture for you listening right now, your analytical acuity in a spreadsheet, your talent for graphic design, your skill in lesson planning, those are not secular accidents.
Right. They aren't just hobbies.
They are spiritual endowments given to bring order and beauty to your specific corner of the world.
But this introduces a very uncomfortable friction point, which we tackled with the concept of sincerity versus execution.
Ooh, yes, this is a tough one.
Because in religious and tight-knit communities, there is this pervasive temptation to use our good intentions as a shield to cover up sloppy work.
We do it all the time.
We show up late to the client meeting, or we send out a typo-ridden quarterly report, and we just soothe our conscience by telling ourselves, well, my heart was in the right place. I'm a good person.
But good intentions do not alter objective reality. We use the object lesson of the spelling audit to visualize this.
Oh man, the whiteboard.
Right, imagine walking up to a giant whiteboard and writing the word excellence with a marker, but you spell it wrong.
You write E-X-C-E-L-E-N-S-E.
Yes, even if you wrote that word with a heart overflowing with devout sincerity, spiritual passion, and pure motives, the objective spelling error remains on the board.
Sincerity of heart cannot fix a bridge built with flawed engineering calculations. It just can't. It cannot magically clarify a confusing PowerPoint presentation that leaves your entire team disjointed.
Exactly.
The psychology behind why we do this is essentially a defense mechanism. We want to be evaluated on our internal feelings because they are subjective and safe, rather than our external execution, which is, well, measurable and vulnerable. But good work must precede God's work.
Precisely. When you stop hiding behind intentions and start executing with precision, you completely destroy the sacred-secular divide. You realize that every desk, every kitchen counter, every workshop, and every classroom is actually a consecrated altar.
Yes.
The work itself, when done with excellence, is the offering.
Okay, this raises a critical question, though. I want to push back on this a little bit because it's the reality every corporate employee faces.
Okay, lay on me.
Let's say I adopt this mindset. I am treating my desk as an altar. I am making good shoes in my corporate job. If my secular work is an offering to God, how do I practically stop falling into the trap of performing for my boss's applause instead of God's?
That is the ultimate question.
Because, functionally, my boss is the one writing the performance review. My boss decides if I get the promotion. How do we keep that internal motivation pure when human validation is dangling right in front of us?
And that tension right there is exactly why we cannot rely solely on the foundations of sacred craft. We also have to develop unseen discipline and intrinsic integrity.
Okay, unseen discipline.
Right. If you are working merely as a performance for human approval, you are building your career on a highly volatile foundation. You will constantly be anxious about who is watching, who is taking notes, and who will give you credit.
And when you inevitably don't get that credit, what happens?
Exactly.
You become deeply, fundamentally resentful. Resentment is the immediate symptom of a performance-driven work life.
But when your work is an offering made directly to God, the underlying mechanism of your motivation completely shifts. You stop asking, will my boss praise this? And you start asking, is this my best for him?
Wow, yes.
This is the core message of the parable of the talents. We live in a society that absolutely worships massive platforms. We worship scale, visibility, viral moments. We have this baked-in assumption that small tasks or low-profile jobs are inherently inferior.
But the master in that parable didn't say, well done, famous servant. He said, well done, good and faithful servant. The standard of heaven is absolute fidelity in whatever sphere you are placed in, regardless of its size or visibility.
We illustrated this with the object lesson of the minted coin.
That was such a good visual.
It really was. When you hold a tiny coin in your hand, it's physically small. On its own, it doesn't hold massive purchasing power, But if you look closely at the microengravings, that tiny piece of metal carries the full seal, backing, and authority of the kingdom that minted it.
The micro-engravings are the details of our daily work. Even the most unglamorous, low-visibility task you have to do today, like data entry, organizing a stockroom, proofreading a document, it carries the full seal of your calling.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be seen by thousands to possess intrinsic worth.
And what's crucial to understand is how this unseen faithfulness acts as a structural support system. We often treat faith and spiritual discipline as these abstract, floating concepts, but true unseen discipline operates like an invisible physical force.
It follows a hidden physics.
Exactly.
This brings to mind the paperclip experiment, which perfectly visualizes this invisible force.
Oh, I love this one.
Right. If you fold a piece of paper like an accordion, and you clip a paper clip to the top fold and another to the bottom fold on opposite sides, when you pull the ends of the paper flat rapidly, the paper clips fly off and magically link together in midair.
It looks like a literal magic trick to the naked eye.
But it's not magic. It is simply the unseen physical tension binding them together.
It is the transfer of kinetic energy through invisible tension. And we see this exact same principle in structural engineering with reinforced concrete.
Okay, the bridge analogy, let's talk about that.
Right, when you look at a massive concrete bridge holding up against hurricane force winds, you don't see the steel rebar buried deep inside it. Concrete is incredibly strong under compression, but it is terribly weak under tension.
Yeah, it would just crack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If those unseen steel tension lines weren't buried inside, the concrete would simply snap when the wind pulled at it.
The rebar takes on the tensile stress that the concrete cannot handle on its own. In our lives, our hidden habits are the rebar.
That's the connection.
Our private prayer life, our commitment to double-checking our work when no one is looking, our meticulous unseen discipline. Those build the neural and spiritual pathways of patience and precision. So when an unexpected crisis hits, you don't have to suddenly invent a new heroic response. Your internal rebar just holds the tension.
But to ensure those tension lines remain strong, we have to regularly stand in front of the mirror of integrity. Self-examination is crucial here.
It is.
Mediocrity doesn't usually happen overnight, you know? It creeps in quietly when we start making excuses and avoid looking closely at our flaws. We have to welcome honest audits and constructive feedback, even when it stings, so our internal standards don't quietly slip over time.
Okay, let's play this out in the real world, because this is where the rubber meets the road. I understand the bridge analogy, but it is very easy to maintain unseen discipline when the weather is clear and the office is quiet.
Sure.
What happens when the tension lines of our internal bridge are hit by a literal Category 5 hurricane? I am talking about a massive team failure that wasn't your fault. Or like a toxic client who is actively screaming at you over a Zoom call.
That is intense.
It happens. How does unseen discipline help us in the messy, loud, highly confrontational moments of actual corporate life?
I am so glad you are pushing on this, because this brings us to the very edge of where we are heading next. This is the transition into week 3 of our journey.
Yes, this is exactly what we need.
Week 3 is entirely focused on resilience, collaboration, and service. We have spent the first part of this movement building a robust inner character. Now we are deploying it directly into high-pressure, messy, deeply unpredictable corporate environments.
Real-world stuff.
Absolutely. This week is about taking that internal foundation and using it to handle intense client stress. It is about building steady team synergy when everyone else in the room is straight up panicking.
Yeah.
It is about using crystal clear communication, not just as a business tool, but as a form of neighbor love to actively serve your colleagues.
This perfectly tees up day 15, which we're launching today. It is a concept called pressure and effervescence, grounded in James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4.
Such a powerful passage.
James tells us to consider it pure joy when we face trials, because the testing of our faith produces perseverance. But let's be honest about what that actually looks like when your proprietary software crashes during a live presentation to investors, or your department budget gets slashed on a Friday afternoon.
Right. To understand the mechanism of how we should respond, we have to look at the chemistry of reaction. When unexpected chaos disrupts a carefully planned work routine, the natural human reaction is to snap.
We look for someone to blame.
We do. Or we emotionally crumble and completely check out.
We did a brilliant object lesson for this using Pop Rocks, the popping candy we all had as kids.
Oh, yeah. That was incredible.
We took 2 batches of this candy. We dropped the first batch into a glass of plain tap water. And the reaction was immediate and violent. The candy exploded.
It fizzed aggressively for a few seconds, completely spent all of its kinetic energy, and then just died out. It became flat, dissolved, and useless.
That chemical reaction perfectly mirrors what happens to a stressed worker who does not have an internal theology of work. When their entire identity is tied to their output, a disruption threatens their very sense of self.
Because there's nothing else holding them up.
Right. So they explode. They vent all their frustration in a meeting, they burn out aggressively, and then they go emotionally flat.
But then we took the second batch of popping candy and dropped it into a glass of carbonated soda. Instead of a violent, short-lived explosion, it created a steady, sustained, prolonged effervescence.
It was so cool to watch.
It really was. The reason is all about the environment. The internal chemistry of the candy matched the carbonated environment of the soda.
This is the crucial takeaway for you, the overwhelmed corporate employee listening right now. What does that carbonated soda represent internally?
It represents a mind and spirit already saturated with the understanding that work is worship.
Yes.
When intense professional pressure, that Category 5 hurricane you mentioned, hits a worker who is deeply anchored in this mindset, it doesn't cause them to lose their temper. They don't crumble or explode like the candy in tap water because the disruption isn't hitting a volatile void.
It is hitting a matching environment. So instead of an explosion, the pressure actually releases something beautiful. It releases a steady effervescence of calm competence. It releases creative problem solving. It releases Christ-like grace right in the dead center of the stress.
This brings us to the most practical application for you listening today. How do you actually maintain this effervescence during a 4 p.m. crisis instead of just exploding?
Because let's acknowledge reality. The physical feeling in your chest in that moment is pure adrenaline.
It is.
Your fight or flight response is screaming at you to react like candy in tap water. You want to fire off that defensive email. You want to let out the heavy passive-aggressive sigh in the team meeting.
We all feel it. But the mechanism to prevent that lies in mastering the gap between stimulus and response. When you view your work as a sacred offering, you realize that this sudden crisis is not an interruption to your spiritual life.
It is the arena for it.
Exactly. The overwhelmed manager maintains that effervescence by recognizing that their emotional regulation in that exact second is in itself the craftsmanship of the moment. Just like making a good shoe or writing a clean line of code, managing your own spirit under intense pressure is an act of high-level professional and spiritual competence.
You are treating your emotional response as part of the offering. That is incredibly challenging, but it is also profoundly freeing.
It really is.
Because it means the toxic client, or the server crash, or the missed deadline doesn't actually have the power to steal your worship. They simply change the material you are working with for that particular day. You are no longer a victim of the chaotic environment. You are an active participant in bringing order and grace to it.
Which brings us directly to your action item for today. I want to speak right to you as you head into your day. When the very first major disruption hits you, and we all know it is coming, when that sudden schedule change occurs or a colleague drops the ball, I want you to practice the gap.
Don't react immediately.
Right. Do not react immediately.
Catch the adrenaline spike. Don't hit send on the draft email.
Pause. Take a physical deep breath and actively, consciously choose to respond with steady, calm competence. Let that intentional pause be your effervescence today. Let your composed response be the structural rebar that holds your panic team together.
And to help you actively execute this in your specific workplace, you need to head over to dailywithgod.com. You can read the full devotional exposition for day 15, get the specific journaling prompts to help you process your own reactions to stress, and access the entire audio library for the series so far. If you missed the foundations we talked about today, go back and build those blueprints.
As we close out our conversation today, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Consider that the very next stressful, demanding email you receive isn't an annoyance sent to derail your peace.
Well, that's good.
It might be the exact, specific, carbonated environment God is using to release your grace to a watching office. It might be the very moment your unseen discipline is finally made visible.
What a phenomenal way to reframe the challenges of the day. You have the tools, you have the blueprints, and you understand the physics of your faith. Now go out there and build something beautiful. Keep crafting with excellence. Keep building with passion. Daily with God. Get connected.
Remember, your work is your worship.